Look at that. Today's video is a yarn unboxing. Yay for yarn unboxings. We love yarn unboxings. Let's see if I can actually cut the tape on this thing and not cut any yarn, right? That's the goal. Cut the tape. Don't cut the beautiful yarn. Go ahead and ask. Hey, May, where's our yarn coming from today? Well, this order's coming from WEBS, America's yarn store. You know why, right? Yeah, because they're always having these amazing weekend flash sales. Yeah, so that's right. We hit another weekend flash sale. Now, honestly, it's not a very big box, and the truth is, there's not a lot of yarn in this box, but they did have a really good deal on some needles, a type, like a brand that I'd never tried before. So of course, also when I realized I didn't have very many of the larger size knitting needles, I had to get some. So we got a whole bunch. Here's some right on top. I feel knitting needles right on top. These are like a driftwood needle. Now, I'm not totally sure how you pronounce it. I thought it was Lykke. Then I heard it was Lykke, maybe, like a Norwegian spelling of wood. So I'm not really sure, but I'm kind of excited to get those in the house in some larger sizes. And of course, we do have some yarn. So let me put the camera on pause, put you on the tripod, and we'll go up there and explore this box together. Okay, well, the first yarn in the box is the Cascade Heritage Waves. Now, if you're familiar with Cascade yarns and their Heritage series, it's a sock yarn series, so it's the #1 fingering weight yarn. It is 75% superwash merino wool, and of course 25% nylon for strength, right? So it's a great soft yarn, and these are some really big skeins. There's something like 430, I think 436, 37. So guess what? Even I didn't need a 10 pack, and let's be real, I can't afford a 10 pack of everything, right? As much as I might want it, even I can't afford it. But look at this. This is the color Roses. Wow. And let me tell you, this feels like merino wool. Okay, this is so soft. And of course, because it is a superwash wool, it is machine wash and dry is what they say. Am I going to put it in the dryer? Probably not, but maybe, because, you know, it is a sock yarn. So I think you could probably make one pair of socks from one hank, but I think I've got 5 hanks in it here. I might have bought 6 hanks at the most. At 437 yards with this color, though, you know I was thinking more than socks, right? I mean, I could make a pair of socks with one for me, so with at least 5, yeah, you know I was thinking like a real nice sweater or something. Or again, you know me, I could go really big shawl with this. Like maybe a couple of these and make a big knit shawl. With a machine washable yarn. I mean, you could even make a blanket with it. Hey, if it's your yarn, you do with it what you want. And since it is machine washable and super soft, you could always do that. I'm probably not. I've never made a blanket out of fingering weight yarn. I mean, even a DK weight blanket seems to take a long time. So that's probably not. But I've certainly made dresses and tops and skirts out of fingering weight yarn before. So definitely that's what I'm thinking. I could make a sweater out of it or a cardi. It is so soft though that I definitely think this is next to your skin yarn, right? This is next to your skin yarn. This is, I mean, you could make a cardi out of it, of course, but I feel like, you know, like sweater, scarf, you know, like maybe, I don't know, full dress, or maybe like a long sleeve or short sleeve with like a peplum or something. I mean, I could just But you could also, you know, scarves, hats, fingerless gloves. I mean, I could make socks out of it and then do like the whole spectrum, have like socks that match a scarf and, you know, fingerless gloves or something. But look at those hanks. Like, I am colorblind, by the way, if you don't know that. If you're new to my channel for some reason, by the way. Hi, my name is May. I love yarn. I love to knit and crochet. Those are my hobbies. And I also happen to have been born visually impaired, legally blind, and completely colorblind. So I mostly knit and crochet by feel. And I'll be the first to tell you, I can't read you all the specs on the label very well. I did pause the camera, though, and go look up my order at WEBS just to make sure I remembered the details, all the details of this absolutely gorgeous yarn at a fingering weight. I believe they said the gauge is 7 to 8 stitches per inch for knitting, right? As I've been knitting for 16 years, crocheting for, you know, over a year now, but I don't understand crochet gauge as well as I do knit gauge. So when I talk about yarning gauge, I'm usually going to talk to you about it in knitting gauge because that's what I understand. So about 7 to 8 stitches per inch. So on a 1 to 3 needle, and I think on a crochet hook, probably a C, D, E, somewhere in there up to that 3.25. It's that's the size of the strand, if you're wondering, right? So can you crochet with fingering weight yarn? I've done it before. I made a hat just to see if I could. I did. But you know, it's a bit challenging for me as somebody who works by feel. I don't know too many people who do crochet with fingering weight yarn because those are some pretty fine strands. But it is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm trying to decide just what to do with it. And of course, when I do these yarn unboxings, I'm showing you my yarn, but I want to hear from you in the comment section. So let me know. Have you bought any of these yarns before? And of course, what do you do with them, right? If you own these yarns, what have you done with them? Because I'm very open to ideas. Okay. So the next yarn I did get in a 10-pack. This is the Elsbeth, I think that's how you say it, Elsbeth Lavold Silky Wool Aran. And it is a wool silk blend. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, I don't remember the, the breakdown on this one in terms of how much wool and how much silk it is. I know it's a number 4 yarn. That I know. I remember that. And I remember that you probably want to use like a US size 7 to 8 knitting needle on this. So 4 to 5 stitches. I think about 4.5 to 5 stitches per inch on this. And this is a hand wash yarn because of the silk. And I don't believe this is a super wash wool. I'm pretty sure it's not. But this is a yarn, it's in the color Caviar, if you want to see that up nice and close, which is supposed to be kind of a blend of some black and some gray. It's a little bit of a tweedy yarn, I believe. I definitely am thinking sweater with this. When I see this yarn, I'm like, sweater or cardi, right? Like I want to make like a beautiful cable cardi or something. I kind of want to open it and touch it because I don't know how soft it's going to be. I want to say it's going to be fairly soft with the silk in there, but I don't know for sure. I mean, that's just real, but that's what I tend to think on this one. When I see this yarn, I'm like, a cable sweater, a cable cardi. I'm trying to see if we can find a strand in the plastic that we can look at so we can just kind of get a gauge of even like how thick is that yarn. It's supposed to be a number 4 weight yarn. Even through the plastic, it's not really feeling it's not, I felt thicker 4s, right? Like I felt what are called a heavy worsted. This is not a heavy worsted, I don't think. It might be kind of a rustic. Ooh, there's a little hole. That's what I was looking for, right? Because I'm like, oh, I want to leave them in the plastic so they stay clean. But then I want to touch them too. It's such a dilemma. I'm like, do you touch the yarn or do you like keep it clean for, you know, long-term storage, right? That's always the battle with me. That's always the dilemma. So when we touch this, here's a little bit in the plastic. Always feeling. I'm like, is there a hole somewhere? Is there a hole somewhere? So yeah, when we look at the strand, there's a strand, and there's a loose strand in there. You can feel it in terms of like, okay, it's a silk wool blend, and you can kind of feel that there might be some silk in there, but at the same time, it definitely still feels like wool. Like, I don't even think that this is a merino wool. Okay, I don't. I just can't see. I don't have enough sight to even tell yet what it says on that package, but I tend to not think it is. It feels a little bit rustic, but still soft. Yeah, it's still soft. So these little donuts are like, I think about 100, probably 100, 110 yards, probably somewhere in there. So I think with a 10 pack, I have enough to make a sweater for me. So I'm excited about that. I grabbed me some noro yarn. This particular line of noro yarns are so beautiful. Now, I don't buy them very often because a couple of reasons. One, they're beautiful, but they're kind of pricey, right? I mean, they are. So I don't buy them very often. They're Japanese yarn because they're pricey is one reason. The other reason is a lot of their wools are hand washed, and this one is also, this is a hand wash yarn. It's a hand wash wool. So that's another reason. They're multicolored, which makes them beautiful. But as somebody who's colorblind, that can also be really, really challenging for me to figure out. And then on top of that, a lot of the names of their colors are in, like, you know, Japanese, which is fine. It's a Japanese yarn, but as somebody who's colorblind, a lot of times the names of the colors on their yarn are not real helpful to me. So I definitely, when I was shopping for this, I can tell it's darker colors because I know I can't wear a lot of pastels and the yellows and, you know, those with peach and those kinds of colors and the beige. But I can definitely tell this is a mix of some blacks and some grays and just a beautiful mix in here. So to me, I asked the Google Gemini AI, you know, is this something that I asked the name of the, I didn't ask it if I could wear it, but I asked, like, trying to find out the color, saying, what color is this yarn, right? I do that all the time when I'm shopping for yarn. Literally spend hours being like, what color is this? What color is this? Going through the different colors of the noro. So, this one sounded like it was some colors that I could wear. It's another number 4 worsted weight yarn, and definitely, even though we only felt the Elspeth Lovell through the package, so it is harder to tell, but this definitely is a good solid number 4. Look at the size of the strands on that. This is solid. Now, this is typical of noro. This is another reason why I don't buy their yarns too often. It's not merino wool. It's not the softest wool. It's rusticy wool. Okay, this is very rustic, a little more natural. There's a little more scratch. There's a little more bite to this for sure. So it's beautiful, but I'm like, I hope I have enough for like a cardi or something, right? Because I don't know. I mean, I want to say it's beautiful enough for a scarf. It looked beautiful as a scarf, and I didn't buy a lot of it because it's kind of pricey. But it's scratchy. It's rustic. It feels like when you think about wool, right? If you haven't touched merino wool, you don't know how soft it is, you know, and then you're like totally surprised when you touch merino. This is what most people kind of think of when they think of wool. It's got a little bit of a bite, a little bit of a scratch to it, but I think it's still, their yarns are still just beautiful. They really, really are just gorgeous yarns. And so, it's still, I think once it's worked up, it's not going to have quite that same scratch and feel to it. I honestly do. I've worked with some other yarns, some other wools before, where when you just feel the single strand, when it's running through your hands, you're like, it's got a little bit of a bite to it. But then once you like if you just touch the whole skein like that, right? If you just pet your whole skein of yarn, you're like, well, that's not so bad. It's a little smooth, right? It can be like a shawl or something. So this would make an absolutely gorgeous shawl, like a hat or something. So it's beautiful. I don't know what I had in mind, but I look at noro yarns when they're on sale, even though I only have a couple. I've only ever purchased a couple noro yarns. So, okay, as I said, this is kind of a small order. There's only one of your yarn in the box. There's lots of needles, so I might have spent more money on needles this time than yarn. So this last one is I want to say it's tahki, Tahki. It might be tahki, tiki. I don't know. I would love to know how it's pronounced. It's the Donegal Tweed Fine. So it's a #1 fingering weight yarn. It's that, 7 to 8 stitches per inch gauge. Again, you want to use the US size 1 to US size 3 knitting needle. So that, what is that 2.25 to that, 3 kind of 3.25 gauge, somewhere in there. Now this is a 70%, trying to remember the exact on it. It's a 70% wool and 30% mohair. So this is it's soft. I don't believe that it's a merino wool again, though. I think that this yarn does not feel, it's not superwash, and I don't think it's merino, so it's definitely a little bit unusual for me to buy it. I think it's in the color plum, though. I think it's a plum tweed. This is another one that besides the Elspeth Lovell, I don't think I bought a 10-pack. If you're a returning viewer, you know how much I love to get 10 packs of yarn. But I think beyond that silky wool, I don't think any of these, it wasn't in my budget, okay? That's the reality. I talk about yarn shopping, I was like, it's budget and space, right? Budget and space. It's not in my budget to get 10 of everything right now. But these are still some nice size hanks. I think they're about probably about 200 yards on these hanks. This is the size of your strands. It's a tweed, but it's not too tweedy. Like some tweeds can be really tweedy, right? I know some tweeds can kind of, some people don't like them super tweedy. I definitely didn't get the impression that this was, and it's not. It doesn't feel overly tweed. What site I do have, it doesn't look like it's got too much tweed in it. I think it's got just enough to give it like some nice texture, something interesting as a fingering weight yarn. Because it's not a merino, I don't think. I think it does have a little bit of a bite to it too. Not bad, but it's definitely, again, it's more on the rustic side. Except the Heritage WEBS is the softest of all these yarns that I've shown you for sure. The Superwash Merino Heritage is absolutely the softest. These are still gorgeous, gorgeous yarns. Okay, they are, but they're not as soft as some of the other yarns that I get. But I was just kind of feeling adventurous. And saw a great flash sale too, right? So this is beautiful. I probably would make like a cardi out of this. I think it would make a gorgeous sweater or cardi as well. Yes, it's fingering weight, so it probably will be knit, right? I don't like to crochet, particularly with these fine yarns. Like the noro, I could crochet with this noro, right? This is a big enough strand of yarn that I could crochet with it comfortably. This stuff, I don't know. I'm thinking this is definitely going to be more like, knit cables or knit sweaters or something like that. But it's still a beautiful, beautiful tweed. This is another yarn. This is one that I could also see myself pairing up with another yarn. And you get kind of that nice, it's tweed, so some people might say, leave it alone, don't pair it up with something. And you'd have to be careful with a tweed. You'd have to be careful what you pair it up with, because it's already got some visually, even I can tell it's already got some busyness to it, right, because of the tweed. But I do think you could still pair it with another yarn, a gray or a black or something kind of neutral, and just give it a little bit more and be thicker that way and easier to work with. So that's a possibility too. I think I could make like a jacket or a shrug or something like that out of it. I think it'd be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so then let's take a look at these needles, right? I've been talking about these needles. Let's look at them. I believe we have a few different types of needles. They were having a really, really good sale on needles, and this is the order that I placed when I was working on my giant knit pumpkins way back in early October. What did I say? I said WEBS had a flash sale, and I was in the need for needles. I'm like, because I have a lot of interchangeable sets, right? If you knit, if you use interchangeable needle sets, what you notice with most sets is they go from like a US size 4, so that's a 3.5 millimeter, to about an 11, so an 8 millimeter. What happens when you need the big ones, right? Like I got sock yarns, and what happens when you need something bigger? I was looking for a 9 milli. Now in the end, my 11, my 8 milli. It was perfect for my pumpkin. I'm glad I didn't use a bigger needle because the stitches are nice and dense. But in that moment, I was like, I need 9mm needles. What in the world? There's a shortage of 9mm needles. So I was on the internet looking for 9mm, and I found a bunch of them on sale. So I found a bunch of, I believe that this is a 9mm, right? I'm not positive. I did get some 15s too. If you're looking for fixed knitting needles in the larger sizes, WEBS is definitely a place to go. Look at these. These are, like I said, these are the, I don't know if you pronounce it Lykke or Lykke. I'm not sure. If you know if this is Lykke, if it sounds like it has a U in it, let me know. If it sounds like the word like with an E on the end, I don't know how to properly pronounce this. I really don't. But, I've got, you've seen me work on here. I've got some wood needles. I got some carbon fiber needles. I've got bamboo needles. I've got the wood laminate ones. These are supposed to be like actual driftwood needles. And so I'm kind of excited about that. And these are smaller fixed ones. So you could do like a hat, right? Like a little baby hat or something on these. So I got a whole range of lengths. So I think I got anything from, I got some in the 16-inch length, I think a couple in the 24 and the 32, and I got them, I think I got variety of sizes from the 13, from the 9 milli, the 15, which is the 10 milli. I think we even got some 17s. I'm going to look around in here a little bit more. Let's play with these needles just a little bit more. But we might have even got some that were bigger than that. I know we got different lengths in here. Oh, we also got some of these are the Knitter's Pride needles. And I don't remember. Oh my, there's a lot of fine print on here that I can't read. So I honestly can't tell yet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you what these needles are made out of, okay? I can't tell you if they're just plastic. I think they're just some fixed circulars because I was really feeling the need for some fixed circulars at the time. We can do a whole video on fixed versus interchangeable needles, okay? But I like to have a little bit of both. I'm just going to be real with you. I do like my interchangeables. They have their pluses, right? There's reasons, there's benefits to using interchangeables. But sometimes I do like a fixed circular. And so WEBS, in my opinion, has a much greater, I don't know what these are. I don't know if they're wood. They might be wood. I was thinking like, they're not, I don't think they're plastic. I don't think that they're carbon fiber either. I think these are just wood needles. But WEBS has a nice selection of fixed needles in a variety of lengths, okay? Because some places, like you guys know, I love Knit Picks, right? I shop in Knit Picks all the time because they have the best color descriptions on the internet, for sure. But they do a lot of interchangeable needle sets. You've seen them on my channel. They're wood ones, they're nickel plated, they're reflections ones. But when it comes to fixed needles, they really don't have a lot of variety in length, right? Your length of your cables, there's not a lot of variety there. And I like to do blankets and sweaters and skirts and big things, right? So I was like, I need some bigger fixed needles. So that's definitely, this box has got a lot of, I do think it's possible I spent more on needles than yarn. I'm just going to be real with y'all. It's very possible. Which is, as I said, there's like only 4 things of yarn here and then a box full of needles. So I definitely took advantage of that sale. It was like this, big, it was one of these like, 30% off weekend flash sales or something. And I found me some really good deals on some needles that I have been looking for. I've been wanting the larger needles, the 13s, the 15s, and I've been wanting the longer circulars for quite a while. So I ripped up that package really good, trying to get that out to show y'all. Did some damage to the package there. So, I don't remember. I'm going to have to go through these probably. These ones feel pretty, these ones feel big. Let's take a look at these before we go. These are some biggies, y'all. These are some biggies, but you know what? That's good. Sometimes you need to have those around. I think look at the size. OMG, y'all. Look at the size of those. These feel like probably a 17. Yeah, these are some big knitting needles. I don't use knitting needles that big that often. I'm guessing, I'm trying to remember, that 13 is a 9mm. The 15 is a 10mm, and I think the 17 is a 12. I don't think there's an 11mm. I think it goes up to 12. I think that's what we're looking at here. But they're big. I rarely use 17s. I may have used them only ever once or twice or just a handful of times. But it's, it's one of those things, right? When it comes to being a crafter, whether it's knitting or crochet, when you come across a project or you're designing a project or you got a yarn, it's like, and now you don't have the tools, right? These are our tools. So you ever fix something and realize you didn't have the right screwdriver? You didn't have the right wrench, right? I mean, really? It's frustrating. And you got to run to the store. And remember, I live a few miles even from a bus stop just to get into a town. And then I'd have to go to the next town or two over. Like, there's not even a place in my town where I could buy knitting needles. So, now, do I buy them off of Amazon sometimes and get them here in a short time? Sure I do. But when I'm in the middle of my creative flow, that's the last thing I want to do is have to get knitting needles off of Amazon and wait a couple of days. So I like to have all my tools in a variety of sizes on hand. So I definitely got just a couple of pairs of 17s in different lengths. So if you're somebody who likes that, if you're like me, right, and you like to have a variety of sizes of needles and a variety of different lengths, especially in fixed needles, then I would definitely check out WEBS because they have variety, and they also have variety if you like more than just metal, right? Like a lot of us have used, aluminum and nickel plated, but sometimes we like a wood needle. I like bamboo needles too. I have found some to be a little, obviously I bought some pretty cheap bamboo needles when I first started knitting, so they weren't the best quality. I've used higher quality bamboo needles. Definitely like them better. I sometimes just like the feel of the wood needles, and let's just be real, right? Sometimes we're working with a really slick yarn, and it just, for me, as somebody who works by feel, I literally have those slick stitches, a slick yarn on a slick needle, like an aluminum or a nickel plated, like literally slide off of the needles. And for somebody who's visually impaired, it's really challenging to pick up those needles. So I sometimes actually like a wood or a bamboo, something that's going to have just a little bit of grip, just a little bit of friction to the needle, right? So I'm not chasing my stitches around trying to get them back on there. So I like to have a variety of textures. Also, you've probably seen me do it on my channel. If I'm working with two silks, sometimes I'll use two different textures, right? Like I'll use one wood needle in one metal needle or one bamboo. And the reason I do that is it really helps me when I can't really see what I'm doing as well. I can be like, okay, that's the front needle, that's the back needle, right? One of them's nickel plated, one of them's wood. And that really can help me to distinguish or use a different length of cable. That's also, by the way, why one of the reasons I like to have a variety of different lengths of cables is a lot of times on a project, I'll put, so if I'm using two nickel plated needles, right, from Knit Picks or something, I might use a shorter cable on the front and then put a longer cable on the back. And that also helps me by feel when you work tactily to distinguish the front and the back of your project. Like, okay, the shorter ones on the front, the longer ones in the back, right? It just makes sense. So there's all kinds of little cues and clues that you can put into your needle choice when you're working tactily. So just some things to keep in mind. But I always, and I bought a bunch of needles. I swear I must be, there's like socks in the dryer, right? I mean, knitting needles feel like socks in the dryer. You're like, Where did they go, right? I feel like they're always disappearing. And I feel like I'm always buying knitting needles. I'm always buying stitch markers. And they're always disappearing. And I'm always buying more. I don't know what happens to them. But there we go. I like to have a variety. So, say hello in the comment section. Let me know, have you bought any of these gorgeous yarns before? I can't get over how soft this Cascade Heritage is. I really can't. Like, this is amazing, and I can't get over just how soft it is. So let me know if you've ever bought the Cascade Heritage, the Noro, the Elsbeth Laveld, or this, where'd my mohair go? Oh my goodness, I lost my mohair. Okay, or this donegal tweed mohair. Have you bought any of these before? What have you made with them? If you have some in your stash, what were your plans with it? And now that you've seen it, if you don't have it yet, are you going out looking for it? I want to hear your thoughts, your ideas on what you get inspired to make when you see all of this gorgeousness. All of this gorgeousness. What do you want to do with it? And of course, I would love to know if you've used these. Feel like these Lykke or Lykke needles, these driftwood needles. These feel like some good quality needles. They feel like they're really, they feel sturdy. They feel strong. They're not the cheap ones I bought on Amazon before, right? These feel like quality. So I've never bought them before because they seem like they're usually out of my price range. But I'm certainly, whenever I find something like that, when I want to try a product, you guys know I love sales. I just wait and I just watch the sales. And so I'm super, super excited to get these in the house on sale. Because they feel like good needles. They genuinely do. They feel like quality. And I'm excited about that because I've used cheap needles before, okay? I have. And also, I like to try a lot of needles on here and give y'all my thoughts on them, right? And so I would definitely love to hear from you if you've worked with these needles before. So, alrighty, my friends. Well, thank you so, so much for joining me today for another unboxing from WEBS. And until next time, happy stitching. Bye-bye for now.